right, let's talk about something that pretty much every manager dreads, and frankly, most employees can't stand: the annual performance review. You know that gut feeling you get that something is just fundamentally broken with the whole system? Well, it turns out you might be right. And one of the greatest business minds of the 20th century would have completely agreed with you.
So we're going to kick things off with a very strong, and I mean very provocative statement about a practice that most of us just see as a standard part of doing business.
That's right, annual employee reviews. They seem so professional, so responsible, like a key part of accountability. But W. Edwards Deming, who is an absolute titan of quality management, didn't just think they were a bad idea, he actually called them a mortal sin of management. I mean, wow. So what on earth did he see that so many of us are still missing?
To really get this, we have to understand who Deming was, because his warning, it wasn't based on feelings or some fleeting management fad. Nope, it was based on something much, much more fundamental.
So this is W. Edwards Deming, and you'll notice he was a statistician, not some HR guru. This is the guy whose work literally helped rebuild Japan's entire industry after World War II. He is a foundational figure in modern quality management. So, when a mind like this calls a core business practice a mortal sin, you've got to stop and ask, what did he know?
And here's the kicker. Deming's argument isn't about management styles or opinions. It's rooted in a simple, completely unavoidable mathematical fact. A fact that turns the entire logic of performance reviews completely upside down.
And that fact? Well, it has everything to do with a concept we all learned back in grade school, the average. But it turns out our whole system of performance reviews is built on a massive misunderstanding of what an average actually means.
Think about it. In any group, for any metric you can think of that has a normal distribution, what percentage of the team will, by definition, perform below the team's average? The answer is always, always the same, 50%.
And this is the core insight that changes everything. Being below average is not a sign of failure. It doesn't mean a lack of effort. It's just a simple mathematical necessity. By the very definition of the word, you can't have an average without half the people being below it. It's just math.
And this is where the whole system goes off the rails. Our review systems take this totally neutral mathematical reality, and they attach a moral judgment to it. We take the 50% who are, just by definition, above average, and we shower them with bonuses and praise. And then we punish the other 50% with warnings, lower raises, and performance improvement plans. We are literally penalizing people for how math works.
Now, the result of this massive misunderstanding isn't a more motivated workforce. Oh no. It's a system that actively works against its own goals and actually creates destructive behaviors.
I mean, look at the stated goal. It's always about improving performance, right? Fostering collaboration. But when you rank people against each other, what you really get is internal competition. All of a sudden, your teammate isn't your partner anymore. They're the person you have to beat to stay out of that bottom 50%. A team that you hired to work together is now being engineered to fight itself.
And so what happens? People don't necessarily get better at their jobs. They just get better at gaming the system. They find ways to hit their numbers, even if it hurts the customer. They play politics to make sure they're at the top. And in all that noise, actual, real improvement just gets lost. And this is what Deming was talking about. He said, rewarding according to results increases the oscillations in performance. It's brilliant. Instead of creating stable, predictable improvement, the system creates these wild swings as people scramble to game their numbers from one review cycle to the next.
So here it is, the big takeaway. If you feel like your annual reviews create more problems than they solve, you are not wrong. You're not crazy. The problem isn't your people. The problem is the system itself, a system that's built on a fundamental mathematical mistake.
So, what's the alternative? Deming's whole philosophy tells us to stop ranking people and start improving the system. So let's look at a simple but really powerful first step you can take to actually do that.
You can start by putting in what's called a safety indicator. It's pretty straightforward. For every key performance indicator, your KPI, that you track, you define a second metric. This safety indicator is designed to tell you if that main KPI is being improved in a healthy, sustainable way, or if it's being hit at the expense of something else that's really important.
Let's make this real with some examples. Okay, say your team's KPI is the number of sales calls they make. A great safety indicator would be your customer churn rate. Are we making more calls but just annoying our customers so much that they leave? Or if your KPI is shipping new features, track the number of bug reports. Are we moving fast but breaking things?
What if it's support tickets closed? Well, then you should measure your team's satisfaction score. Are we closing tickets so fast that our support team is completely burning out? See, all of a sudden you're not just measuring activity, you're measuring healthy, sustainable progress.
So we'll leave you with this. Instead of asking who your best and worst employees are, Deming would want us to ask a totally different question. What unintended, maybe even destructive behaviors is our current review system driving in our teams right now? Because answering that question is the real first step toward actually improving the system, instead of just ranking the people stuck inside it.